you alluded to a point that I thought about, like modern dating. Do you think that it works?
Absolutely not.
What the fuck do we do?
Absolutely not. I do not think it works. I think people overestimate their value in their own lives and other people's lives. It's just like, it's definitely somewhere another person. It's definitely somebody, because I'm the prize, so somebody's gonna value my prizeness. And I'm not saying that everyone isn't a prize in their own right, but every prize isn't a prize to everyone.
Yes. So instead of me seeing that as, oh, she thinks she know what it is, she done made up her mind, I'm like, she's hurt. She clearly is feeling like I don't care, and she is responding defensively to protect herself, but really she's just making things worse. Let me calm her down. I love a man that knows how to, hey, let's bring it down. Bring it in. We're still friends. I still like you. I just have, this is what's going on. Don't start tripping, like, give that reassurance. Because I think the same thing with the guy. Like, hey, nope. You're still the one. I'm sorry, I was tripping. I missed that. This is what I was doing. Because that's what it is. It's a cry for reassurance. Like, and it's not that what the way that you're moving is wrong. It's just different from what her expectations might be. The same way your expectations are different than what she wants. Like, you're expecting to be able to live your life and reach out once a week, where she's looking for more. You know, you're expecting to continue doing your own thing, but she is just on a different wavelength. And until y'all sit down and have that conversation, like, it's going to take a long time for you guys to have a lot of these real, like, heart-to-heart kind of conversations. So does that mean that if y'all don't agree on everything up until then, that it's not worth investing in? Like, you're going to butt heads with so many people because you're just not going to be on the same page. Not because you can't get on the same page, but without that kind of clarification, people are so... There's so many different ways to communicate, styles to communicate, and styles to receive, that we have not had the time or experience to understand and grapple with. And so we're just kind of fumbling our way through it. And in the initial days of, like, getting to know someone, without having ironed all that stuff out, you're bound to be doing that. And it's not, if y'all match with each other already and you're having these conversations, there was a level of interest. I doubt that interest changed because of that. It was just, they didn't know how to communicate effectively to let you know, hey, I'm feeling an expectation of mine that doesn't seem to be aligning with yours. Am I reading this right, or do I have it wrong? Instead, they were like, hey, I'm just going to take your actions as a signal, when really it's more of a reflection on how they move than how you move, you know, because we're going based on our own interpretation of the world. But I don't know. I just feel like, because I be wanting to do it too, just, you know, clear it. Like, okay, that's how you move. I'm done with it. Because in this dating phase, it's like, you're not worth that investment yet. Well, how does a person become worth that investment? By these moments, like, Why are you moving your eyes like that?
I'm just following. I'm really trying to follow. That's it. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm trying to follow, because I'm not saying like how you feel is wrong. For me, it's we got here because you were like, this is what I do to be like, hey, okay, rather than fall deeply in feelings for someone who's not interested, I'm gonna be just like, I'm gonna go check this door. And I was just saying, for me, if I was presented with that, I would just be like, okay, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, what?
Like, you can go check that door.
What does that mean, though? Does that mean that your door is closed?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was just saying simply because if it was a feeling of, okay, this is the early stages, I feel like I'm really starting to feel you, but I'm not sure of the response that I'm getting. I'm not Like, are we gonna then talk about to find an understanding, or am I being just told, hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna take a step back because to me, it seems like we're not on the same page. So I'm just gonna do a little quick pivot, and I'm gonna just be like, well, all right, then go. Me personally, my response was just like, all right, go pivot.
Every guy that I'm in a relationship with, I say, hey, it isn't anything until we both agree that it's something.
Sure.
So once we have some kind of thing and I'm like feeling them, hey, let's talk. Let's see where we are. If I get the brakes put on me by that, then that tells me all I need to know, because I'm asking you to tell me where we stand. And you're either not giving your response, or your response is saying, I'm not there. But most of the time it's not giving a response. And I can only ask this so many times. And I'm direct as fuck during that time. And that's when I open it. It's never like a guy is pursuing me and we're just cooling it. And I'm like, you're taking too long. No, it's like, hey, my feelings are about to cross a threshold. I need to know if you're with me on this boat or you're not going this direction. Am I getting my signals crossed? Is it my emotions getting out of control and I need to dial them back to give you time to catch up? Great.
But but in that time when you're deciding to dial them back, you were presenting it as, well, since I'm a little bit further than you, I'm going to just give myself a distraction so that I don't jump too far in. And I was just simply saying, in the situation that was being presented, as I was hearing it, I would just be like, well...
So you're saying that you don't want to be in a relationship with this person, but you don't want her to be in a relationship with anybody else.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for me, right? When I'm meeting people and we're going through the stages and we're having conversations and we're getting to know each other, Yeah. If at some point in time I felt, oh man, this might be the one for me. And I was just like, this is how I'm feeling, babe. Boom. And she was just kind of like, I ain't there yet. Right? Mm-hmm. But we have been doing all this thing. So I know she might be locked in, but I just might be more locked in than she is. So I got to do a little bit more proving. So that's what I'm going to do. Then that's how we're going to work. But if at that moment in time, she was like, I'm not where you at, but I'm locked in. And then I decide to pivot, then by all right, she gonna be like, she gonna feel a type of way, and then she not gonna want to be
I feel like interested. That's a very good example of the temporary nature of, if y'all are dating, y'all are vibing, what's the concern with saying, all right, let's focus on each other and see if this thing has legs? The pause in that is, to me, that comes from this culture where I don't know if this is the right option to really because I'm not saying we getting married. I'm saying let's get rid of the distractions and focus on each other and see if this thing can go. If we're already vibing like that, to me, I'm saying let's get out of the dating scene and let's go to more exclusive dating, as opposed to me having these options, you have these options, or distractions. Let's say we're going to focus on each other. If you are not interested in that, then that only tells me that you have other options, that you still want to be open. You want other doors open. And then if you are saying like, yeah, no, I'm not ready for that, then okay, let me keep these doors open. That's that temporary shit that's coming to roost. What is your reasoning for not wanting to go into something more exclusive if you're at that spot?
One, I don't know if we're talking about the same spots. For one, I just from listening, I don't know if we're talking about the same spots. Okay. Because when I presented it, I was talking about in dating, because if I'm getting to know you, like, I'm getting to know you, because I'm trying to see if we can vibe before then try to. I'm not saying you can't sprinkle some romantic stuff in there, but that's not going to be the basis of where we're going, because everyone tries to build their relationship on the romantic intimacy type, but that's only a small part. Correct. It's when you're in the house and I'm wearing my pajamas and you wearing your sweats. Can I stand to, you know what I'm saying, look over and see you on the couch every day? Like, you still here? Mm-hmm. Type thing. And so what I'm saying is, if I'm working to right? We haven't where I met you in January and it is now March, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you talking about some man, I love you, I'm be like, hey, hold up. Like, I just miss you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that
if y'all spending that time together, do you think that's unreasonable for somebody to be in love with you? That's
in 2 months.
Yeah.
Yes, because I don't think you know me.
What do you think? How do you think love works?
Personally, love is an action word and it's a choice. You choose.
It's both.
Okay. I just stand by. If you fall in love, then you have no choice but sometimes fall out of it. If you choose to every day love the person regardless, then that's the choice that you make and you stand by it. And so for me, I give everybody love, as in the sense that I don't have no malice towards anybody.
That's not the love we talking about. We talking about that real love.
As agape is unconditional, so I give love to everybody.
We're not talking about God's love,
right? But what I'm saying is, we in the West, we say love, and it encompasses all of it. But there's different types.
No, I'm talking about the romantic love,
right? And what I'm saying is, if we don't have that friend, that familiar love, to then build into the romantic, if we try to put the romantic on the bottom, then we know romance comes and goes, right? Because whatever we may be dealing with in our personal life.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. If I'm building it, we going to do friend, then we going to sprinkle some romance on there, but the foundation is friendship. And then it's family. Do I love you like if we was blood?
So if you're going back to the friendship thing, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the way our emotions work, they don't give a fuck what you're doing.
But we control our emotions.
No.
We really do.
No, we manage them, we respond, but we don't control. You feel what you feel.
You 100%. But what then is, do you take action?
Your response. No, yes,
right.
Exactly, your response. And so, but it doesn't change the fact that you feel those things. Now, I believe that love is both an emotion and an action.
Right.
I believe that the emotion needs action behind it to carry it through. The emotion is fleeting, but it's real. That is the part that you end up getting drunk with that makes it very difficult. It starts to cloud your judgment. And so that whole filial love, that brotherly love that you're talking about in the beginning, to me, if we are reaching for that friendship, then me talking to other people should not be affecting that.
No, I was simply saying, right, according to the scenario that was presented, how you presented it. If I'm just meeting you and it's month 3 and you got whoever you got that you slide to and talk to, and we just, get in coffee here and there, then that's just the case.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes. Because I'm not saying you my significant other. I'm just, we spending time. I'm understanding who Alexis is.
Right.
As a person, what she might have been. What's her story?
Yeah.
That's just it. I'm reading your book. As long as you give me the opportunity to read your book. And then it's, once I have read, is it enough for me to then want to, be a permanent fixture? Or was I just a side character that just came in for a little bit and was just like, use cool people, but I don't really think that's what I want. And so that's my approach, because I'm not going to permanently fix myself in someone's life when I can't see that.
I guess I think your timeline, the casual and dating part, is where I don't know where we align.
Right.
I think we're on the same page once it becomes to like seriously dating to like exclusive. But what that front part looks like, and I think it's different for everybody, and that's what makes it so confusing. That's why it's so much hit and miss. That's why there's a girl that's like, well, why are you not here? Because she has a different idea of what those stages look like. And I don't know, I guess it's definitely good to be clear, but even the people that I have the most open communication with, it is difficult to pin this down. Like, I feel like there's just a hesitancy to like call it what it is. And I think that people are fine calling it what it is on their own, but the moment it's in the context of another person in real time, somebody clams up, and I don't know if it's just because we're, mismatched, or people are just thinking that there's a better option behind door number 2 or what, but it's like, I just don't know how to get on the same page with the person I want to be on the same page with, you know, like
right.
I can be on the same page and then the wrong person comes around and I all of a sudden I lost my book. I don't even know where nothing at, you know, and then you approach somebody that you think is like-minded and you put out, they're like, what? No habla inglés.
Fool's
so,
gold.
Yeah, it just kind of becomes so elusive trying to align these different like ideas of the path to a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I be trying to be as forthcoming as possible, and I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. All right, so you alluded to a point that I thought about, like modern dating. Do you think that it works?
Absolutely not.
What the fuck do we do?
Absolutely not. I do not think it works. I do not. I think people overestimate their value in their own lives and other people's lives. And what I mean by their own lives is it's kin to that mentality. I did it on my own. I'm not gonna say that people don't struggle and they don't pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but everyone got help from somewhere and got help from someone.
Yeah.
So you've never done it on your own, because that, you know, you have to interact and work with people, and so it's, to me, it's akin to that. It's to where it's just like, it's definitely somewhere another person. It's definitely somebody, because I'm the prize, so somebody's gonna value my prizeness. And I'm not saying that everyone isn't a prize in their own right, but every prize isn't a prize to everyone.
Yes, very subjective. Yeah, I see some of it that makes sense in theory again, but in real life, I don't see how. I think it's still just as messy as it's always been. I do, because I think before it was messy too, but I think we had we couldn't see the mess behind it, you know, like
I one thing that I would say that I think that we have lost when it comes to this culture is recommendations. People do not recommend people to be like, oh, you know what? I think somebody, because I know who you are. I know how you operate. I know what you think. I know your parents. I know the morals that you stand on. I had a girlfriend
that just got hooked up that way, but
and
I was
people
shocked.
Don't recommend. It's even crazy because like I'll have a friend and I'll be like,
you got some friends?
I'll be like, what's up with your homegirl? I don't get involved with stuff like that, and it just be like, so to me that says either what your opinion of me isn't well, or what your opinion of your friend isn't well. Because if you can't look at two single people who you know are in contact with and be like, okay, I actually think I know somebody that would be good for you. Like if you're my friend and I can't recommend you for my sibling because my sibling is interested in you, then that says something about the type of person you are and the type of friendship that we have. And so I always find that, to me, that's another reason why this culture is so sad, because no one can recommend anybody to anyone. I
don't remember that happening before either. Like, the only thing I know is, like, for instance, if you go out and maybe your homeboy is there and another homegirl is there and it's like, oh, who's that? Who's your homegirl? That's the most I've seen, but not ever like...
I know this person, even like growing up, like I seen it to where it's like, hey, how old you now? Not me particularly, but like, how old you now? Oh, 19. You know what? Such and such has a daughter who's around the same age as you, who's about to go to university. Maybe you should give them a call, and then it's kind of just like a, what she look like? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You get a picture, and he's like, oh, she's not bad. So you say, hey, my name is such and such. I'm related to so and so. They told me to give you a call. I was just want to see if you want to go out and get something to eat.
The times that I've heard that happening, honestly, have been in recent days, and most of the time, it's a fail, because it's like somebody recommend, like, guys and girls have different like ideas of what. Like, a guy will have a different idea of what a good catch is as far as a guy is, and a girl will have a different idea as well, because we don't know what the other person is actually the other sex is actually looking for. And so oftentimes it's like child, look who they thought would be a good match for me. Is that kind of energy. But I did just today, one of my friends told us like that another friend kind of set her up with somebody. We're hoping for the best, but like that is rare. It doesn't happen and I think it's because most of the women don't have that much of a Rolodex of men to like give away like that.
And I just think that speaks to the culture and the community.
Who are you recommending for me? Where they at?
What you mean?
Mr. Recommendation, where they at? You got somebody?
I don't know.
See, look at you. Look at you. You are the problem.
I'm gonna be honest because I get asked that a lot. Why? And then the truth is, like, some of the people who ask me, not necessarily you, because we're on the spot, but I'll be like, I wouldn't put my homeboy through that.
No, I have done that. I have had that. I was like there's a reason I didn't. There's a reason. Because
and a lot of times for me, it's I got homeboys. I do. I definitely got homeboys who are ready to settle down, but it's like, when it comes to the culture and the climate, it's certain things that we have found that women find are acceptable that we're just like, absolutely not. So it gets to the point to where it's just like, once I know certain things, I just be like, I couldn't recommend you because he gonna choke me out.
That could be the case happening all around the world, and that's why we're all on dating apps, because none of our friends actually think that we should be with people
I had one girl that I was looking, but I was actively trying to be like, yeah.
But you didn't have none of your homeboys that you felt were...
Well, that's because we ran in the same circle, so we couldn't...
She didn't have nobody else.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, my homeboys were her homeboys, so, like, we couldn't set up because we was all, like, people. But, yeah, we was actively looking. Likewise, you know what I'm saying? She made recommendations every now and again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or if I be like, you know, somebody, she be like, no, all the people that I know aren't. I wouldn't even do that to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, at this point, I guess, and I guess the guys that I know, I don't know how interested they are in settling down.
That's also because it's what they're presented with. Because I'm be real, a lot of guys my age, younger and just a little bit older, they are really subscribing to that red pill. Marriage is not a benefit to me, so why should I even consider it? And so, like, they genuinely feel like that because the laws don't benefit us in the sense that, you know what I'm saying? So it's tough when your counterpart is presented like they don't need you, so then it's just, I don't need the headache. And so they not gonna ask us to marry us, so, you know what I'm saying, marriage is just, it ain't working like it's working.
Well, I guess I have hope because I have to, but I don't really know how any of this stuff works. And the way my PTSD is set up, I am deathly terrified of making a bad 10-year decision. So I don't know. That does make it difficult for me to like transition to the next step, because I'm like, is this thing possible? Like, can this actually work long term, kind of thing? And there's really just no way of knowing that for sure. But I don't know, the accessibility to people, the mixed cross wires in the whole dating course, like all of it, I do feel like it causes a whole lot more problems that we didn't have before. But I feel like that's just kind of the way of the world, where before we had problems, we still had problems in dating before. It was just localized to whoever the fuck you could reach. But that just meant you ended up probably with somebody that may or may not have been for you, but that was who was available.
It might have not been your preference, but it worked out in your favor.
Did it? Not sometimes it did. I think it was because you're here, this is available to me kind of thing. I just think
that we today, we look at the choices of other people with all of the things that we have at our fingertips and be like, oh, they just stuck it out because they had to. No, a lot of them, yes, were met with hard times and situations that they like, but that's what they wanted to be for whatever reason, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm even just thinking about that. I'm just thinking about like, oh, like people like, oh, our grandparents, this and that. Like, No, I see my grandma, my grandfather. I ain't gonna say that they ain't had they little things that they did
Nah.
to each other, but when my grandfather died, like my grandmother was just like out of sorts because that was the person that she had been with every day for the last what I'm saying, how many every years, and the way we look at time, right? We look at it in this instant and moment, but when you look back, it was just like was that even significant time that it was discomfort? Not really.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I feel like it's still a matter of proximity. I think that's good for a partnership mindset, but I do think that there is more than just a partnership. I think it's harder to find and harder to keep kind of thing, but I think you can aspire to more than just this works. And I think that what we have is the same thing that happens anytime something new comes onto the scene or new is invented is having more resources isn't a bad thing. It's just you have to learn how to steward them. Like having all that power, having all those things can help us if we wield that power well. And I just think that we haven't learned to do that now. And that's just a product of too much too fast. There's a lot of technology. We talk about how Gen Z, what the fuck are they called? Gen Z, the newest, the people that's after millennials. We talk about how they've been having, how the troubles that they have because it's like they're born into all this technology at their fingertips, and it's just like even the people that have created this technology don't know the implications of it, decades down the road. So they're the beta, like they're the experiments, and I feel like that's what we are now with dating. So it might be a whole generation of single people that gotta go through this until people learn how to wield this power of online dating. And I think it's a cross between understanding what makes a relationship work and what these tools do. It's like self-awareness, understanding what a relationship takes to work, and kind of fusing all that together. And I think until we get a good grasp on that, we're all going to be kind of spinning our wheels in, like, with futile efforts, like just in the wrong direction, because we really don't know no better. And we all want this idea of happiness and this ideal world or relationship is in our minds, and it kind of has to be met with reality. It might be like Israelites wandering around for 40 years before we get to a place where we know how to use this power. Right now it don't really feel that hopeful. But I don't think it's bad, because I do think that a lot of us, or in the past, have ended up in relationships that weren't necessarily good just because they were there. And my grandparents were the same way. When one passed, the other one passed shortly thereafter, just because it's like that was their person, that's who they did life with. But it wasn't because it was a good relationship. It was more of a I'm not saying that's how your grandparents were.
No, I'm just saying I just find it funny that we can look at someone's 50, 60, 30, 20-year relationship and be like, we can be like, oh, they did it out of our insert, whatever our assumption is. If you would talk, not saying you didn't, but I'm saying if you would talk to them and be like, yeah, there were moments and times in years that I couldn't stand this person, but when you take the whole sum of the relationship, it's like I wouldn't have done it with anybody else, knowing that we were together 16 years before a fourth of that. Like, I wanted to just throw a toaster in the tub with her, you know what I'm saying? But we stuck it through, we made it out, we got...
No. Because, I mean, in my two sets of grandparents, there was one where it was abusive and then one that was not. But it was both acceptable at that time. And the abusive relationship just spawned a whole bunch of other abusive relationships after that, because that was what was modeled. So regardless of whether or not they had love for each other, I'm still not going to say that was a picture, like a model relationship, because of that their love was enough in that case. To me, that was a case of proximity. That's what you did, and you stuck in it, period. Whereas I still feel like, hey, maybe she could have found somebody that wasn't going to treat her that way. But in that time, it wasn't. You needed someone to take care of you. I mean, not to say that she ain't have arms. She had hands herself, but it's like it was just a case of this is how the world worked. period. And I think that we largely did a lot of that too in our dating life growing up, because that was what was available. And now there's a lot, your horizons have been expanded to different cultures, to different continents. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think we don't know what the fuck to do with it.
I think, I'm not going to say it's not, I don't know. I think you have a better chance of finding something that works in proximity than you do at a distance. And that's just when it comes to looking into being able to really get to know the surroundings areas. Like, people from my hometown, right? Whereas that's where we grew up. I'm not to say like, oh, I couldn't have, if I would have stayed, made it lit, but I didn't stay there, right? But there are a lot of great people who stayed there, who, you know what I'm saying, did something with themselves. And so if I wanted to get to know them, it would be easier to go see what their family's like, go see how they interact with their people, rather than if you got someone who lives in another country, like, yeah, we can talk, but what do we always hear? Oh, they got another family back home, or they got, you know what I'm saying? So I personally, I would rather not, like, Florida ain't nowhere further than 4 hours, so, you know what I'm saying, I made that drive. But when it comes to, like, out of states and stuff like that, I hear, but I have no way to verify the things that you're telling me about who you are as a person. And so I just think you run the risk of getting got that way.
Listen, I get got from here to Sarasota, so...
You ain't investigating good enough.
I mean, I don't live there, so it's just only so much that... And I'm also not gonna be trying to be Scruff McGruff, the crime dog, in an active relationship. Like...
I don't care. If you enter my circle, I'm going to, with all means, use whatever resources that I know and have at my fingertips to look you up.
I'll look you up once, but once we know each other, I don't. I really don't. I think that the proximity thing, I do think that there's merit to that. I do think it's easier, like half the battle is already done. But I feel like that is more viable when we're younger. As we've gotten older and people are snatched up or moved away, like, I feel like it just becomes harder. That pool, there's not really much left. It's really like scraps that's left at this point, because most people have already been in whatever. They're already, like, especially kind of at our age where a lot of people have already been claimed or spit back out. Who knows? But there's just not as many options now. Like, if like
tons of options
back, where they at?
What?
Where they at?
It's whether or not I want to, like, you know what I'm saying?
If you don't want them, then they're not an option.
That's not true.
Yeah, if you don't want them, then what good is the option that you don't want?
You can have, what I'm saying, it's just like, the pool is not, for me, the pool has not shrunken at all. If anything, as I spend more time to get myself together, it just continues to expand and expand.
Oh, so the pool is waiting on you to get your shit together?
No, I'm just saying, I'm cool. If I wanted to call somebody up right now and be like, we locked in for the rest of our lives, that could be a thing and it'd be done and we'd be locked in for the rest of our lives. So why are you
out here? Because you like it out here?
What you mean?
Why would you not have done that?
You have to be sure.
Okay, so you've been spending this time to find out if you're sure about all them options? I'm saying if you have all those options available to you, then
when
why
I
are
say
you on the
option,
scene?
is in, like, for example, as when you have a bachelor's degree, they say only so many types of jobs are available. But as you get your master's and your PhD, right? Now, the bevy of things where you only had your bachelor's, you could only be an entry level, but now that you have your PhD, you can step in at the corporate CEO level of a company. And that's what I mean by when I say options. Whereas your
cachet has gone up.
Correct.
But that don't mean there's anybody to cash that in on.
Okay.
So then what good is it if you got money and there's nothing to buy at the store?
Or you're waiting for the right thing to buy. You just because you can buy everything in the store don't mean you should.
If there ain't nothing at the store to buy that you want, what good is the money?
Right. Maybe it's just not the season.
It ain't been the season for a minute. But
I'm not gonna say that because I'm not I'm not in the same places because sometimes I was actively looking, and sometimes I was just cooling and seeing what finds me. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on where you're at. If I was actively looking, yeah, definitely. But when I've found more so in times when you sit back and chill is when you realize there are more people who are viable, and now it's just for you to decide where you want to go.
Okay.
It's like a D1 athlete. You can get an offer from every D1 school, but you have to decide which one fits you the best. And that doesn't necessarily mean you go to every one and you tour every facility. It means you do your due diligence and you have a direction in which you want to go. And that's just it.
Yeah, I still feel like the local pool is dwindled.
Tampa got some baddies now.
I think I done been through them all. I think the ones that I see now are all out of the area, not from here. But I mean, of course, I've not. That's just in my online experience, and that's only the people that have had interest in me as well. So, who knows? So, what in this whole dating culture, modern dating, what do you feel that you can, should, might change as you proceed through it?
For me or in the culture?
I mean, I would say for you, because that's more constructive. We can say what we think the culture should change, but we can't change. We can't.
I'll just say, like, for me, the only thing that I have changed and gotten better at is just how I vet and like what exactly am I looking for. Not to say that everyone's the same, but people who want certain things, they talk a certain way. And so we even understand that it's not a fake it till you make it. Like, if you have the experience to where you can talk about something, then and because you understand it, then that's what, for me, that's what I'm looking for. And so I just ask the questions. I spend the time. I pay attention. Can I then, and then from there it's, am I out and, oh, did I grab this because it made me think of you? It's the things like that to make me say, okay, now let's get locked in and let's push this to see where it goes if we get to that point.
I think for me, giving people grace, but being very clear about like things like you said, like what I'm thinking before just acting on things, and still trying to keep a little bit of hope, because being jaded does change that approach a lot, and being jaded from this. So every time I notice myself feeling like that, that's when I'm like, okay, let me just pause for a little bit, because I'm over here giving people the stank face, assuming that they about to be some bullshit, and not even giving them the chance to show me that they're different or not. So
right.
Trying not to approach it with that, because it does take a toll on you, that whole temporary, all the ways in which it's just like kind of fucked up. But trying not to just allow that to be what I lead with, and just, I don't know, regular check-ins, like with myself, making sure I'm okay. Am I still looking for the same thing and all that other stuff? I think that's just something I need to improve on. I would love it if everybody could recognize the illusion of options, but that's a tall order, because I don't even be knowing what parts I'm fooling myself with, Like, I think I have a better grasp on what is actually available to me, but sometimes you be tripping. And sometimes, I won't say miracles happen, but sometimes something that you didn't think was in your wheelhouse is, and it's still a possibility. So I don't know that that's something that's a question or idea that can be solved anytime soon, because of the very unique nature of humanity. Like, from person to person, it's very difficult to pin that down. So I think it's really just how we respond to the bullshit. So I don't know. Any lasting thoughts?
Take your time. I don't care what nobody say. Take your time. Because if you like me, you only want to do it once. That's it. I only got one time in me, and when I decide to do it, it's until one of us. So take your time.
I feel different on the other side of divorce, though. Almost like like I don't feel as well. I don't feel like the decision is gonna be without risk or holes. But I kind of have that. It's not YOLO, but it's like even if you do all the things, you still don't really know. So like, don't let it hem you up. All the thoughts that are based in possibilities, like don't let it hem you up. So I say kind of go forward, but with caution, whatever that means. Good luck out there, y'all. I don't know. Anyways, as always, thank you so much for rocking with us. Please check me out on social media at is_Alexis. That's ISS Alexis, no E, no I, double S. And anywhere you check out podcasts at LEXTLK. And Kamoy.
You can find me on all platforms. It's really Kamoy. I have been dropping some embroidery content, so check me out.
Yeah, I saw that. It was looking good on the All right. Anyways, talk to you guys later. All right. Bye.